Talking about you got this and you got that, and you gonna murder this one and murder that one. Talking all that bullshit. I'm gonna put it to you like this, yo.
This is for the nerds, this is for the brainiacs, this what we deserve. Go ahead and play it back, you ain't gonna touch me, you not gonna do nothing, you are not above me. I bet you wish you was me, I know it, I know.
What is poppin', everybody? And welcome back to another special episode of the Only Friends podcast. Well, you know, it's me and my only friends, which includes, but it's not limited to, Mr. Hunt. What's poppin', baby?
Hey, Connie. I was impressed by you actually being here for the start of the show, considering you were downstairs like 10 seconds before we were about to go live.
I was impressed that you got the intro right. But welcome back, Connie.
What's poppin', baby?
Good to have you back here.
It's been a long time.
Yeah, it's been like 2 weeks.
How was
2 weeks, no Connie. How'd you guys survive?
How was the Great Northeast?
I mean,
Or the East Coast, as you would like to put it. I guess that actually was the East
The
Coast.
Atlantic.
never good for me,
The North
but
Atlantic?
it's got to be the best poker in America. It really is. Borgata is just absurd.
Better
The
in
place
Florida?
Yes. Wow. Yes. The place is just
miserable.
It's just crawling with gremlins. There's just gremlins everywhere. It's amazing. The poker is just great. Like everything about it is just, other than being in Atlantic City.
Did you win?
Which, you know, our boy Sheets tells me every single time that I put a tweet out about Atlantic City.
And he's right to do so.
He said the gremlins are coming.
No, this is the most. I can't actually have to find it.
He basically just says every single time Conrad tweets about Borgata that this is the most miserable place on the planet in the winter. Only second to the most miserable place on the planet, which is Atlantic City in the summer. He's not wrong.
He's not wrong.
Place is a fucking hole, man. I hate that place with a passion. Like, oh, the boardwalk. Yeah, well, you want to get shivved?
I walk on the boardwalk. It's fine.
Yeah, well, you
It's
know.
cool.
Well,
You like to play dangerous. Yeah, you live life dangerously. You know, I stayed in a hooker hotel the first time I went there with fucking LaManna.
Listen, we survived.
no.
It was four of us on one king bed that vibrated.
Did not vibrate.
Had mirrors on the ceiling. You put a quarter in the bed.
Every time he tells the
mirrors
story,
on the
he adds
ceiling.
details to it that are like
Mirrors on the
slightly
ceiling is a telltale.
fabricated.
The truth of the matter is that was my second trip to the Borgata. We upgraded. The first time I went to Atlantic City, we lived in the Garage Mahal.
Yeah.
Oh, the Garage
exactly.
Mahal is way better. What are you kidding me?
$8 a day. We fucking slept in our car. Truthfully, after that hooker motel, I got to tell you, I prefer the Garage Mahal.
Absolutely. That's not even a question. Like, if you walk into any type of hotel or anything along those lines and you see fucking mirrors on the ceiling,
hotel?
well, I gotta go. Like, no, mirrors on the ceiling?
This was a
That's no
shack
good.
on the side of the highway. There was no hotel. This was
Motel, whatever.
This was one of those things that you see in the movies, like before the psychopath comes in and murders everybody.
I saved you money and you didn't die. What's the problem?
Right. It wasn't a Econo Lodge.
Results orientated, that is. Just because he didn't die doesn't mean there wasn't a high chance
That's
of
right.
him dying.
No, low risk.
Your 97 Cavalier was way more comfortable.
I checked the place out a week before. Completely fine, you know.
Our group
Did
of
some recon. We're good.
Our group of friends was notorious for this. The first time we came to Vegas, you want to know where we stayed? The Excalibur.
Oh yeah.
The high rolling Excalibur. The second time we came to Vegas, which was like in preparation to move here, we stayed at the Trop, and like the down bad Trop. We didn't even stay. This is how bad it was. We didn't even stay there. For sure, a hooker was murdered in the bathtub.
Jesus.
100%. There's just no question about it.
Why
We
did it have
walked
to be a
in.
hooker?
Well, because I don't know who else would get murdered in a bathtub.
I mean,
I think it was the pimp.
I mean, based off of what we saw on the bed sheets, there was a hooker present, and the bloody ring around the tub would insinuate that she may have died.
again, I was there a week earlier.
Right, we sent the man out to do recon.
Oh man.
I actually was kind of wondering, like, how the fuck did you find yourself in so many shitty places to stay?
I'll tell you exactly how.
Hold on. My whole life of going to Atlantic City, like parks, like never in my life did my group of friends ever say, hey, Let's go stay in the shitty one that's off the highway next to some creek.
Tell him how it is,
in
Lynette.
Atlantic City.
Just cut him off. He doesn't understand what it's like to be down bad.
Right. Listen, when you're in your early 20s and you have no money or you have very little, you had to do what you had to do, right? I'm not staying at Borgata and paying whatever it was, $200 a night.
We couldn't afford the resort fee, let alone the night.
I could barely get in the game.
Right.
And when it comes to Vegas, here's what you did. You just went to Vegas.com and then you filtered for cheapest to most expensive, and you clicked the top one, and that's where you stayed.
The only thing that they were competent at
like
was
$500 for flights and full week in Vegas. I'm in.
The only thing that they were reasonable at is whenever they went through this process, they at least knew not to stay at Circus.
Right.
It was like, okay, we'll cross that one off the list.
Anything called Circus, you just
Come on.
That's not going to be your first choice.
We're a resourceful bunch, okay? We grew up in the shits.
Yeah.
But we got out here at the Tropicana. We walk in that room. There's 4 of us, 2 beds, 1 dead hooker. And we said, you know what? We got to call the front desk. Hey, do you have one without the dead hooker? And they're like, no, sorry. They come with every room. It's standard protocol here at the Tropicana. And we said, okay, we're going to look elsewhere.
Right.
Can we cancel our reservation? No refunds. You went through Vegas.com. No refunds.
No refunds.
So we ended up at the Venetian, all suites hotel.
Yep.
I mean, we have a pool out. We have a living room. We have a mini fridge.
I think we probably
balling
paid
on a
less
budget
with the poker
for sure.
with the poker
with
deal.
the poker rate. Yeah.
And how many were in the room?
4 of us.
Yeah.
We all had a bed.
Yeah.
You know what a luxury that was
You
back
were
then?
living life.
Yeah, I mean, that's a big graduation from the 4 of us sleeping in a king bed that vibrated when you put a... And this motherfucker had so many quarters.
So many.
Just quarter after quarter after
It was
quarter.
for the tolls, man. It was for the tolls.
Just never ending. I mean, it was unbelievable.
From what I heard, it was from the strip club.
That's right. When you were that's right. Pinging the strippers
after the Looney Tooney incident in Canada, he thought he could come to America with quarters and just like feed the strippers.
No, you should see how hard it was trying to get that toonie inside the quarters.
You were gonna say inside the stripper's ass.
Come on, man.
Family show. So while you were on the East Coast, did you happen to run into my boy Lenard, Mr. Lucky himself?
Nah.
He finds himself in the news again.
He's probably in Florida.
I would bet he was at the Borgata. I mean, you're right. Like, he does frequent Florida a lot, and that's where this incident took place. But, Borgata, big series, a lot of people to dupe.
I never even seen him there.
Maybe he can't afford the bus. I don't know. My man Lucky's back in the news, the sweetheart swindler, if you will. He has a long history of cons and scams. I would love to know how I didn't get cheated. I mean, I beat this guy out of so much money. It's incredible that he had to be running a racket. He was DMing like all the best pros in the world, saying like, yo, play me heads up. There had to be an angle there.
Well, I mean, it would just come to your track record that you actually won every time in cheated games.
That's actually true. That actually
well, I think that came to an end with the Ring camera, right?
Yeah, I did not win in that game, but I think I may have been able to if I had stuck it out. I sussed it out. I knew what was going on here. But I told Marcus this. We shared the article back and forth yesterday. He goes, well, yeah, you were supposed to get cheated, but you just kept fucking calling with the hands that were supposed to. He was trying to get the fold. Like, he knew your hand. He was trying to get you to fold, and you just weren't buying it. It's like, yeah, that actually makes a lot of sense. So he's in the news again for scamming somebody out of a few $1,000s here in Florida. Now, I got to tell you, this is like it's kind of like a sad tale, but it dovetails off of what I was talking to Matiso about, how like the young kids, they just they don't have any street smarts, they don't have any card sense really about them. So this one, and truthfully, like the way this is framed out, this isn't even a con. It's just somebody being kind of like pretty naive, I think. So the way this one works out is an anonymous source, Kevin, not his real name, a young poker player who claims to have met Adams at Seminole Hard Rock Casino in Florida on Friday the 10th. He said that Adams promised that if he took a massive flip, we don't know what massive is in this instance, but probably thousands of dollars, he would then stake Kevin in a private game. He said, I believe he showed me a fake money order from Hard Rock, which said he had $2 million credit there. Once we did the flip, which that to me indicates the way that this was a scam was that Kevin put up the money and Lucky did not.
Yeah.
Just showed a receipt.
Yeah, just showed a receipt and said, I'm good for it. Once we did the flip and I paid him, he started pressuring me, asking me for more money. I started to realize then that there was no game. Kevin then claims he left the casino, went home out of most of my poker bankroll, and then he acknowledged it should have been obvious it was a scam, but as he explained, he had seen Lucky on poker live streams playing big games, so he believed Adams had the money to back him in a private game. He was never put in a private game and hasn't heard from Adams since. Not only did the alleged scam cost him financially, but it also cost him to lose interest in poker. Quote, my plan is to never play poker again. I guess I'm not cut out for this world. I'm a college student and I have a great job lined up. I don't need it in my life anymore, Kevin said. Honestly, Lucky did you a favor, bro.
He's just,
He did you a favor. I mean, it's unfortunate.
I want to know the details of this. Like, how much was this flip for? Like, what were you guys doing? Playing cash and just sitting there? And like, he was like, hey, let's do a flip for $5,000.
Right.
And the kid's like, nah, man, that's like a quarter of my poker bankroll.
I would assume it was something.
He's like, nah, come on, stop being a pussy. Let's do it. $5K.
It's not even that. It's more like, I like the way you play, man. I got some big games I can put you in.
Yeah, I didn't even include that. Where can I put that information in to get him into that, do the flip? Like, that doesn't make any sense.
No, it does.
It sounds crazy.
No. You have to put yourself back in the shoes of being 21.
No, it sounds crazy to say yes.
No, that's what I'm saying, though.
Flip for the backing deal?
Well, to give him action with the expectation that he's going to put you into big spots.
I think when you're young, it's much easier to be optimistic and think that that's possible.
For sure.
And like, even if it doesn't, not that like you'll be fine or whatever, but it's almost like worth the asymmetric upside. Almost. I say almost because if you looked into the history of our boy here, probably wouldn't agree.
I think you get got more often than not. I mean, almost.
Well,
actually,
you definitely
always.
do, but
you always get caught.
Right.
You always get caught. Because anybody who like needs you to gamble with them in order for you to get a deal.
Hey, man.
I will say, though, there have been situations like this that on the surface looked like they were scams and then ultimately proved not to be. I think it was like 2009 or 2010. When did we move out of Mesa Verde? 9 or 10?
2010.
Okay, so this would have been 09.
Yeah. The
09 World Series. I think it was Tony G. It might have been somebody else, but like a big name pro was free rolling. Like, I think he ended up free rolling like 50 people into the main event. And at the time, I was in a position where I could have used the free roll. And the way that he scouted these young kids out, because, it was 2009, there was just endless amounts of us playing online and stuff like that. He had us play on our own account a 6-max cash game for 1,000 hands. And he just observed those 1,000 hands. You like send him the hand history or whatever, and then he decided whether or not to offer you it was definitely 2009 because I remember Kata ended up winning. Mm-hmm. He decided whether or not to offer you the free roll. So it's like, I did that, but in hindsight, that very easily could have been like, I don't even think I was directly in contact with Tony. I think I was in contact with like a one-off assistant type of thing. And it's like he could have been setting me up in a game where like he knows or runs all of the other 5 accounts and they're colluding against me. And it was small. It was like 50 cents a dollar or something like that. I ended up like winning small in the game, and then they offered me the free roll, and it turned out that I ended up getting a better deal. I think I ended up getting like a 50-50 deal. So I turned it down. But even that, taking it to the next step, I don't know what the process would have been, but like, imagine that he says, okay, you put up the 10K. You know what I mean? Like this, I'm not saying this is what happened.
Right.
Obviously, like to my knowledge, it was a legitimate deal.
Yeah.
And
you would have to be fronted the 10K.
Yeah. And I'm pretty sure I recall like people like doing it and it ended up working out for them pretty well. But imagine that he then takes it the next step further and he says, okay, like put up the 10K, sign this contract that says I have 70%, yada, 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 and I'll pay you back when I'm in Vegas. It's like, well, that's a good recipe to getting fucked.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And in these streets these days, you got to be sharp, man. With the crypto rugs that are going on around all over the place. It's
especially this time. Like once crypto starts going crazy, the scams and the rugs just happen. Way more frequently.
Poker's just so ripe.
I bet Mr. Lucky in like 2 years ago in April during the 50K that Chewy and Foxen were heads up. I got Chewy at 3-1, and Chewy came back and won. I got paid instantly.
Wow.
Same. It's so crazy. I've done. I don't want to give this guy credibility because he has none. Right. But like I'm more so saying I'm so lucky to have not gotten got by this guy.
By lucky?
Yeah.
I'm so lucky.
It wasn't for a lot of money, you know.
Lucky.
But
same. I did small amounts. We did like a 1K last longer in Florida where I actually thought I was torching it. I thought like for sure I'm gonna get scammed because I believe it was like post him losing millions heads up versus like all of these pros and stuff like that. I'm like, man, this motherfucker doesn't have $1,000. Like I'm getting torched. Beat him, paid me, and it was just like, wow, look at that. But I think he's smart about this kind of stuff. You don't scam guys like me and you for pennies.
Right.
Start small.
Well,
no, but that's how you build credibility.
Exactly.
Right now, Berkey's like, oh yeah, this guy's fine. He paid me. No problem.
Precisely. Our word is worth way more than that $1,000.
Right.
And if you're going to scam me or Landon, you're going to try to do it for like $100K.
Right.
You're not going to do it for peanuts.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it's like one way or another.
Long con.
Yeah, one way or another. Either you work the long con where now all of a sudden you have big names saying like, you know,
like
this
be careful,
shit.
but like I've been good, you know, versus just the he got me for $100 in this heads up last longer between Chewy and Fox.
Right.
Like,
right.
that don't do you no good.
The wrong bridge to burn, I think.
Yeah. You got to be smart when you're dealing with this stuff, you know.
Yeah.
That's how you get Ethan the Lona.
I played with him yesterday. I couldn't resist.
Hold on to your funds. Just don't let somebody else control.
We'll talk about that in a minute, though. Hunt, do you follow much in the way of tennis? I know that
tennis.
Yeah. I feel like they play that in England.
Maybe they do. They do. that is correct. Your understanding of England is accurate. But
I'm trying to bridge a gap here. Like trying to find sports that maybe we mutually play.
You like tea and crumpets, right?
Actually, not a big crumpet guy, but you know, I'm
fucking guy can't win with
I'm
it.
not a huge tennis guy. I am vaguely aware of what goes on in tennis. But not huge.
Are you aware that the Australian Open is going on right now?
Vaguely, yeah.
Okay, have you seen what they are doing to get around the ownership rights of the broadcast?
No.
This is incredible. So ESPN owns all the rights, obviously, and they broadcast or televise everything live, and Australia is like, I don't know, 12 hours, 15 hours ahead or something like that. So it's wee hours of the morning. Mm-hmm. So the Australian Open YouTube page also wants to be able to telecast it, but they can't because they don't have the rights.
I'm looking at the screen right now and I'm understanding what's about to happen.
Free use laws say that you're allowed to simulate anything that's going on. So they take the information of what's happening in the match and they're converting it now into Wii tennis.
That's with amazing.
It's incredible. It's
I would
real
rather
time.
watch the Wii tennis, I think.
Of course. For casuals who don't give a shit.
Yeah.
Absolutely. What a great onboarding process.
That's amazing.
We should get Wii tennis versions of poker streams that are not actually live. You know what I mean? Like when
the Mii's going.
Yeah, like when PokerGo puts like hundreds of thousands of dollars behind a production, we build out a Wii tennis set, have the hand histories imported, and then have Linus going heads up versus fucking Shulman. You know, it's great. It's gonna be amazing.
We can have all the players who are really boring to watch can be replaced by like AI versions of them that are more fun and more interesting.
Right. It's gonna be so much, and then just Helmuth in real time.
Right.
You know, just real life Helmuth sitting amongst like eight Homer Simpson characters.
Right. Eight like GTO like super elite guys who are like the AI version of them acts like a ridiculous.
You know how much less intimidating Vogelsang becomes when all of a sudden he's a poo from The Simpsons.
Right.
You know, bundled up in a turtleneck.
Yeah.
Like that seems
not
amazing.
very intimidating.
Right.
But you know, a poo might have some game, you don't know.
Exactly. A lot more watchable all of a sudden.
Like if I saw a stream and I got a picture for Guapo, like imagine like these guys are the ones playing on the like little cartoon characters, little eyes like raised. It's like, okay, like I'm in.
Did you guys ever play like Burke, you might be the only one that would remember this.
Oh my God.
Did you guys ever play on PKR, the site?
No, but I'm familiar with it.
Okay, yeah. I wasn't sure if it was maybe just a European thing or not, but it was a site that I think it probably went out in business in like 2012 or something, but it was it was regular online poker, except you actually had like a sort of a player avatar that was like sitting at the table, and it was like the images that you just get on standard online poker, except it was actually like a 3D. It was like you could choose like which guy you wanted to play as, and so it was like online poker, but trying to be a bit like the Wii Sports or like something like this, where you sort of choose your avatar and you choose how they're going to look and stuff like that. And I think the site never really took off at all, because like I say, it didn't last very long. But it was like, if you could actually do that well in today's day and age with AI tools to build these avatars and everything, like you could actually make a pretty fun version of that. I think you could make online poker a little bit different that way.
I mean, that'd be kind of. Isn't that why like Full Tilt was such a draw, because of like the animations and stuff that you can do? Right.
Like if you just went all the way with the animations, and you actually like put a bunch of energy into making it so that these avatars are really dynamic and they could do all sorts of stuff. Like maybe someone's going to do that at some point.
I think even outside of online poker, like it truly would be a good way to bring other broadcasts that maybe like aren't necessarily being followed as close. You know what I mean? Because like you could passively watch something like that, just have it up in the background, where it's a little bit more tricky, I think, with watching a full-blown poker stream. Mm-hmm. It just seems like there's more barriers of entry, right? Like with the exception being like Triton. Triton makes it super easy. They just put everything on YouTube. You get the best commentators, you get the highest level play and all this other stuff. But like, I don't want to watch. I mean, maybe it's just me, but like, I turn on a Hustler stream and like it's just like acid on my eyes. Mm-hmm. Like everything about it, it just feels unwatchable to me. I don't know the players. None of them look familiar to me. None of them look very impressive. They're all just like vanilla as can be. The set, the background, all of it is just like the same browns and reds that you see in every fucking casino, and just like it makes my eyes bleed. And it's like I don't want to do this. But man, you convert that into a Wii studio with like some fun characters, you know what I mean? Like
it's like watching the micros.
Yeah, fuck yeah, let's go. Yeah.
I would love that. If someone brought back the micros, I think that would be one of my favorite things that could happen in poker. I would be super excited about that.
I actually would enjoy that too. I do feel like this generation of poker players kind of missed out on a different level of content, because things were so much more shallow back then. You could really orchestrate like the Rounders-esque type of script for the content that you're trying to develop, and it wasn't trite yet.
Right.
You could do derivatives of it, you could make fun of it, you could meme it, all that other stuff.
There's no good memes anymore. Like the early days of, not the early days of 2+2, but like the sort of peak days of 2+2, like 2010-ish through 2013-ish. Like the poker memes that would go around, there were some absolutely amazing ones. There's some that just became so commonly known, and it was like people had a genuine ability to be funny with them. And now, like, I can't remember the last time I saw a poker meme that actually made me laugh.
Yeah, I mean Thomas, but like, he can't be the only one doing the heavy lifting.
Right. I think that was that's Seriously Serious.
Yeah,
right? Yeah. I think that was the era when he was kind of just starting doing videos and stuff like that. So I think he was definitely a big part of early poker meme culture and making everything actually funny at those times. That was certainly a big.
They all just go to the personal chats now. Like, we got ourselves Mama Joe. She has the best worked, and she just doesn't put it out there.
And they just like, everybody's kind of split into different private Discord servers and stuff like that now. And there's not like 2+2 isn't anywhere near as active as it used to be. So there's not really like a centralized place where people can just like be funny. No one's funny on poker Twitter anymore. Like, well, very few people. So it's definitely a shame that part of poker culture kind of went away.
But you deleted your account.
I did.
Yeah, you're lurking.
If people were still funny on Twitter, I might have stuck around.
That's true.
That's actually very fair. Well, what was funny on Twitter was actually getting to see some of the highlights from this Wii Sports clip. So in this one, we got Medvedev. Yeah. And he misses a shot, smashes his racket in the only way that Wii Sports would allow him to. We're so back, baby.
Oh, so
we are
awesome.
so back. I think the other thing I really enjoy about this.
Oh, they're even doing the instant replay. Yeah.
Yeah,
Great.
it's so good. And I think the other thing I kind of enjoy is that there's no announcers. Oh, there are. There are announcers. Interesting. I kind of like that you hear the crowd noise and like it feels like an experience. They should do this with pickleball.
Yeah.
That would be way better to watch Wii sports characters than actual pickleballers.
Baseball too.
Baseball, yeah. Baseball would crush with this.
Wow. Baseball might
Well,
actually
don't
be
they?
interesting.
So don't they do something like that with football, like the Nickelodeon?
Yes.
thing?
Yeah. They did,
Right? But it's
they've done a bunch of stuff. So they did like the Nickelodeon thing was a consistent thing where they would do like the slime cam when they scored.
Yeah.
And they
It's a good way to get kids like
to bring kids in.
Yeah.
But then they've done like they've integrated some other stuff throughout the season. Like they just did a Simpsons broadcast. I think the final Thursday night of the season, where everybody became Simpsons characters.
That's amazing,
on
right.
the field.
Yeah.
And it was like really entertaining to watch from a something different standpoint. But if you're interested in either of the teams, it's miserable. Like,
Well, yeah.
you know, you do it whenever you're just a casual football fan who doesn't give a fuck about watching the Colts play the Jaguars.
Well, if you have an option for both, it's like it's fine.
Yeah,
Right? You know?
yeah.
But
there
like,
are a lot
yeah,
more.
if they like force me to watch the Steeler game as like you
Right.
know, Wii characters, I might be like,
You can
No, I'd
watch the
be-
normal
I'd
feed
be-
or the Wii characters feed or the Simpsons characters feed or
Right.
like there's got like 20 different feeds depending on how you want the players to look. you
I'm
know?
surprised that poker doesn't do more of that. And, you know, maybe it's kind of on the content creators themselves. But when it comes to like having options for commentary, because people seem to be very opinionated about like who makes for a good commentator versus who doesn't. And it does seem like if I were in the commentator business, the commentating business, so to speak, or I wanted to be, right? I was an up and comer. I'm trying to think of somebody who'd be like a good example. Like Nikki, for example. She enjoys commentary. She gets to do it from time to time, but like not a lot of tape on Nikki, right? So, you know, most of her hires are going to be based off of just like, oh, we like the cut of your jib, kid. You know, get in there and give it your old college try. If I were serious about it and I wanted to like pursue that path and, you know, maybe become the next showman or whatever the case may be, I would just dedicate a YouTube channel to doing live watch parties. And I would be the commentator over the top of it. And it's like, it feels very egotistical and like very, hey, look at me type of thing.
But if you're good, people will watch.
Right. And that's also like the way YouTube is just built out, right? Like if you're a content creator of sorts, that's just, you know, kind of the nature of it. It's like if you have a community that you're building, it's like, hey, we're going to do a watch party here, but like I'm going to take the lead on
That's
the
actually
commentary.
a really good idea, right? Because that's you start building a following, and then all of a sudden it's like this guy's great, and nobody's going to watch the actual stream. They're watching this guy, and then eyes get on him, and then you know maybe someone like Poker Go or Triton sees them, and then they're
it's
like,
also
hey.
just a proof of concept.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, for sure.
If people need some tape on you where you haven't had an opportunity to get, I'm
You're
sure
like,
there's
look,
a lot
I can
of
do the thing.
I'm sure there's a lot of unfounded talent out there
Has
that
to be.
like just doesn't have the means to get a connect at Poker Go or, you know, any of these other live stream spots. So just food for thought kind of thing. I think it would be interesting to have options in our space. But I also think that kind of died with Twitch, right? Like when Twitch kind of died, I think that the single content creator who's just trying to like, you know, be in the space, generally speaking, kind of died with it. Like live streams aren't really very popular in poker anymore, where they used to be like, especially COVID time, they were super popular. People doing play and explains. I don't know if you remember, but the first online WSOP bracelet events when Landon first moved out here, they were really popular.
Man, yeah.
Like I made back-to-back final tables in that series and like 20,000 views on the final table or live concurrence, whatever. Like it was massive. Same thing with the Galfon challenge. But that stuff all seemed to like really fade away once we were allowed to touch grass again.
Right, exactly.
Who knew?
Come on, poker players don't touch grass. Don't lie.
No, but they're allowed to.
They're allowed to.
Right.
Once they're allowed to, then
they went from never touching grass to like considering touching grass, but then
Exactly.
changing their minds and deciding not to.
Yeah, but like once the consideration came to be, then nobody wanted to watch a live stream anymore.
Right, exactly.
Unless they're Euros. All the Euros are out there grinding the live stream. The GPI Awards just got emailed to me So the early voting is coming in for the preliminary rounds, and got to like, I don't know if it was streamer of the year, or content creator of the year. Maybe it was like up and coming. That's what it was. It was up and coming content creator of the year. I was excited for it. I was like, man, like, yeah, I want to support some new talent. Like I love this idea of there being turnover and like, all right, where's the youth at?
Brad Owen was on there.
No. It wasn't like that. It was more like a list of 40 where I was like, who the fuck are these guys?
No. Yeah. So you went through all 40 and you watched a video from each one of them.
I clicked I truly clicked into most of them, and I'd never seen or heard from any of them. It's unfortunate because it's like, I might be setting the bar too high. But like the majority of them, I'm clicking in and they have like 1,800 subs. And I'm just thinking, like, you're too early.
They're new and up and coming.
Yeah, no, but you're too early. They're not up and coming if you have 1,800 subs. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, Rampage was new and up and coming his first year.
It takes a long time to build it out,
Not really. Not really at all. Rampage surpassed us in a year. Maybe less.
Yeah.
Like, you just have to do shit. Like, Abby Poker was a part of it. And, like, I would consider her to be a good benchmark for who fits into that category. Like, she has a big following. She's creating daily content. The general populace in the poker community has an idea who she is. She doesn't play Magic the Gathering on air while the podcast is going, like Landon.
Right.
He's texting.
Oh, sorry. He's texting.
Yeah.
I knew he was
Landon's in the Magic streets as well now.
Bro.
Don't talk about it.
He does anything he can. He's so neurodivergent.
I think we should sit you down and have a conversation about it, actually.
I like to get my lawyer Efro.
This whole podcast is just an intervention for you and your Magic the Gathering.
Right. Wow. I'm gathering.
I went through my Magic the Gathering phase when I was 12.
Me too. Now I'm back.
Oh, you're back? Okay, you're getting back into it? Wow, all right.
I'm so back.
That was only a few years ago for Landon.
Yeah, that's true.
Well, back when you were 12, like that's when it first kind of came out, right?
I don't actually know when it first came out, but I was 12 in the late 90s. So if it was around then, yeah, probably.
Yeah, like way back when.
Way back when you were born.
Maybe a little bit earlier based off of like David Williams and Efro's age.
Yeah, could have been.
They're probably like, I would think David is like 4 or 5 years older than you.
Yeah, I expect
he's like
so.
our age, I think.
Magic the Gathering came out in 1993. It looks like.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So I would have been 11.
Yeah, I was 6.
6. Yeah.
So definitely not at that exact point when it came out, but I think it was
still
kind of peaking.
Relatively new.
Yeah,
right?
I think it was peaking in like the late 90s, early 2000s. That was when I had a few years.
Hey,
I was playing that a lot.
Shout out to Magic. How are you still a thing?
Yeah.
I mean, 93 to 2025. How are you still a thing?
Pretty strong, man.
That's 2 generations. Maybe not generations. 2 decades at least.
All sorts of stuff from that period is still a thing. Like Warhammer is still a thing. Warhammer 40,000 is still a thing.
Wow, 25 years. I still don't know what the fuck that
Pokemon is still a thing. Like that was like the.
I feel like Pokemon goes through some big waves.
It does, but it's like it's still. I was looking up this a while back. It's like I think the Pokemon franchise is like the most valuable media franchise in the world.
That's incredible.
Yeah, I feel like it was a huge thing like when we were in high school, and then I didn't hear about it for a decade. And then it was, and then like 2008, it was like back.
Yeah, it's gone through ups and downs.
When it had the app where you could geolocate.
Pokemon Go.
Yeah.
That was definitely a peak period for it. But like, that franchise is worth something insane, like 100 billion or something. It's like more valuable than like Disney or Star Wars or whatever. It's like it's insane franchise that's just been 25 years. It's just been a money printing machine.
That seems wild to me.
Yeah, it's crazy.
I don't remember Pokemon being popular when we were kids. I remember Pogs.
Pogs for sure, but like
being really popular.
Pokemon was definitely, people had Pikachus running around.
It was definitely.
Nerd.
They have grossed more.
I never played. I'm just saying.
Wait.
Conrad's looking something up.
This is the preemptive CSA.
$98.9 billion.
That's it?
That's
franchise?
it.
That's not that much.
I mean,
for 25 years?
$98.9 billion.
In 25 years? You think that's more than Disney?
Mickey Mouse and Friends, 61.2.
Might be more than Disney.
Ever?
I mean, I'm just looking at this Wikipedia page, man.
Are you saying that's the sales or that's the
list of highest grossing media franchises?
Okay, I didn't know.
Pokemon's number 1 with 98.9, by the way. Second would be Mickey Mouse and Friends, 61.2.
Yeah.
Winnie the Pooh, 48.8. Star Wars.
Okay. So
It's
when you take the Disney umbrella,
Disney
it
umbrella
squashes.
Yeah. It's not
Right.
even close.
Okay.
If you take the entire company of Disney,
Right.
but like the original Disney products that existed before Disney started buying up every other franchise.
I understand.
The Mickey Mouse thing, like
So
Mickey
any
Mouse
one
and
individual
Friends.
franchise, Pokemon
Yeah,
is great.
that's like- that's the
that
point of
makes
it. It's like-
that makes way more sense to
Right.
me.
It's not more valuable than Disney as a company.
Okay.
That was my point of looking it up. I was like, wait, no way.
Yeah, like if Disney's not $1 trillion business, I would be
It's not.
shocked. It's got to be getting close.
It's not $1 trillion.
$500 billion.
I don't know. Maybe.
Bro, they own ESPN.
Well, let's
They own
find out.
anything.
I know they own
They
ESPN.
own Pat.
I mean, Amazon's $1 trillion.
Not that-
Amazon's $1 trillion
Right,
business.
yeah,
It's not.
It's $3 trillion business.
I was gonna say it can't be
Yeah.
that much smaller than Amazon. I mean, it's smaller for sure, but like things that you
let's see.
they own Fleshlight. Things you would never imagine Disney owning. They
Wait,
own.
are you serious?
That can't be true.
Poker
huh?
News at one point though did own Fleshlight.
That's
Poker
fucking
News owned
hilarious.
it?
Well, Tony G owned Fleshlight, and he also owned Poker.
I gotta
News.
tell you,
Really?
Mark, I'm down to the
I didn't know
Stop
that.
it.
I'm down to the quarter trillions. I haven't seen it yet.
Disney. Maybe is it under a different name? I don't know.
Is there an even bigger conglomerate that owns Disney?
Right.
But it's just conglomerates all the way up. There's no end to it.
That really is the way that it works.
XRP's worth more than Disney.
Well, it's not. Okay.
Oh, here it is. 192 billion.
Billion?
Yeah.
Wow, that is
Yeah.
shocking.
It's just because like that's a lot of fucking money. It's just that these like
I mean,
we've been
TikTok's about to
we've
sell
been
for 80
blinded,
billion.
We've been blinded by like the Mag 7 and these tech companies that are just worth like astronomical numbers that just seem normal now. Like $3 trillion company in Apple is like insane.
that's different. That's apples to oranges. I'm thinking more along the lines of
Pun
like,
intended.
right. I'm thinking more along the lines of like X sold for 40 billion and TikTok now is on the market for like 80 billion. Like these
Again,
are just
tech companies.
kind of, but they're media distribution companies.
Yeah, well, social media also is one of the biggest things. Social media is bigger than traditional media now.
I may have made a poor assumption to assume that Disney's got its hands in the social media game in some capacity.
Not really.
I mean, they have it in traditional, like they own basically all of traditional media at this point.
Right. I think the issue is just that traditional media is not actually as big as it seems like it should be.
No,
in
that's very fair.
comparison to-
It's
Right. That's what
crumbling.
I'm saying,
That's
yeah.
crumbling for
Right.
sure.
Right.
What's stopping them from making a play at TikTok? Seems like a no-brainer.
Disney?
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's just the fact that like
don't know.
the Disney has a pretty pretty specific remit as a company because of Walt Disney founding them as an entertainment company.
Yeah.
And I would be surprised if Disney ever starts doing anything that isn't like we're specifically just producing entertainment. You know,
Right.
And TikTok
right.
is
That's
not really that.
Yeah, it's not right. Exactly.
I mean,
It's
it
a
kind of
different thing.
it's not that different than owning ABC and ESPN and
It's
the
probably
like.
it's just
It's a
100x
distribution
more
channel.
valuable.
Right, right. It's very different in the sense that it's worth a fuck ton more.
It's like in the future, TikTok is going to be worth exponentially more than
Right, but-
all of these put together.
Agreed with you. Totally agree with you. But like end of the day, it is a distribution platform. It's just very non-traditional, right?
Yeah.
It's not anywhere close to the same as what you're doing with like traditional cable media outlets and things of that sort. But I don't know. I mean, if they bought it, they could do whatever the hell they want with it. It's not like they would then be they would then be emboldened to keep it as is, where it's just this funnel for OnlyFans. Which also, by the way, what's stopping Disney from buying OnlyFans?
Well, again,
I mean-
they pride themselves on being a family company.
Yeah,
but I don't think that's true.
Probably their integrity.
I think that's bullshit. Maybe on the surface, but
No,
like
that-
Walt will be rolling in his grave.
There was a several year period where
they could make all the OnlyFans creators Disney characters. Go ahead.
Wait, in Wii versions?
I guarantee there's a market for
that's
that.
a weird insight into your brain.
Time to make a meme
Hey,
coin,
right.
man.
But
Right.
no, there was
Don't
a
yuck his yum.
multi-year period where there was kind of like a weird power struggle in Disney over whether or not Disney Plus was going to have any content on it that was
I remember
above,
this.
above like a TV 14 or
Yeah,
whatever, right?
yeah.
And it took as a result, I know this because the Marvel shows that were on Netflix, that were like more adult, like the Daredevil show, Punisher, things like that. They took years to come to Disney Plus because even though they were owned by Disney after a certain point, the higher ups at Disney were arguing forever over whether or not they were ever going to take the step of letting Disney Plus show anything that was not suitable for kids.
Right.
And eventually they conceded on that, but it took a long time for them to concede on even putting something that's more adult on Disney
And
Plus.
I thought that was kind of where they turned the page, because that was what was going through my mind, is like Disney Plus, Paramount. Is it Paramount that they
Paramount
own?
Plus, yeah.
No,
Yeah.
Paramount's different than Disney. So
Right.
you have Disney. They're one branch of the media, and then you have Paramount.
Or
one,
Hulu,
and then,
Hulu might be what
and then
they
you
own.
have
Disney owns
Universal.
Hulu, yeah.
They own
doesn't-
Hulu,
they
They
own
own
right.
ESPN
right.
too, but this is different.
Yeah, but that's that. I understand that, but Hulu is like a more complete platform. When they started to absorb these sort of streaming platforms, I thought that was where they turned the page of like, okay, it's 2025. We're not your grandparents' Disney any longer.
Yeah, I mean, I think they did.
And the
but,
Marvel
like, I think
series,
there's
like
a
you
big difference
mentioned.
between
Yeah.
that and like, let's buy OnlyFans.
They
you
kind of
know?
had to. If they
Well,
wanted,
it's the next iteration, though.
but if they wanted to expand their business, they had to, because like everyone else was like, there's
That's-
only four big. I mean, there's Paramount, there's Universal, which is NBC, there's Disney, and then there's Time Warner, I guess, that was like HBO and,
Right.
and CNN and all that, the Discovery Channel, all that. You know, Matt, you get almost everything on Max now,
You do.
Yeah, kind
You get a
of.
lot.
right?
You get wrestling on Max now. AEW's on Max.
Like all,
I was
all
gonna say
the
Netflix.
Discovery stuff is on Max. All the HBO stuff is on Max.
Yeah,
all
but like a lot of those, the reason why they're all together is because they all kind of like share a lot of the same content. Like, I don't know that you need to watch this.
TLC stuff is on there.
Yeah, I mean, okay, that's a little different for you. I know
You ever
you're
seen
into the
1,000
house-
Pound Sisters?
I know you're into like all this shit. If you're not watching reality shows, though, you probably don't need like a lot of the Discovery, TLC, that type of stuff. It all bleeds over into Netflix as well, right? Like Alone is a good example. I think that's
Right.
on one of those. I don't know.
Alone's
It's
a
on
now-
History Channel show.
History Channel.
So history's different. History is not part of the Discovery.
Right, that makes sense.
company.
Network,
Right.
yeah. Yeah, I don't know. It's tough to keep track, and I love YouTube TV for this reason. That like it does kind of all bundle. They did what cable previously did, where they just bundle everything for you,
Right.
and you don't have to subscribe to 27 different apps. It's basically the cost of cable, and you get all the on-demand shit that you can tolerate, with the exception being like Netflix. Or,
Right. And it's
you know,
a
whatever.
lot cheaper than
They
cable.
did in a better way what Hulu I think has been trying to do. But the Hulu does come with
Do
the.
you watch most stuff? So when you're on YouTube TV, you watch mostly on demand stuff? Is that what, like,
No, I think I use it mostly for live, but that's because I don't watch a lot of TV,
that's true. Yeah.
right? So like I'm using it a lot for sports. I'm using it a lot for current events,
Yeah.
stuff like that. But if ever I'm sitting down to like watch a sitcom, it's like I'm doing it because the season's over and I'm gonna binge 10 episodes in a row or something
Right.
like that.
Speaking of, there's a bunch of fucking season 2s coming out on Netflix, and I can't fucking wait.
Go on.
There's like 4 or 5 of them. It's like The Recruit is one of them.
Okay.
The Night Agent is another.
Didn't Squid Game just come out?
Squid Game just came out,
Actually,
yeah.
I'm not into Squid Games.
Okay.
I binged the first one like 2 weeks ago. It was incredible.
Season
Yeah?
2 of
Took me like 3
season
years
2
to
of
catch up.
Severance on Apple TV starts tomorrow, and Severance is literally the best show I've seen since Breaking Bad ended.
Interesting.
Okay.
If you want to watch, if you want to
Severance?
watch a good show, watch season 1 of Severance, and then watch season 2, and it starts tomorrow.
Nothing will ever hold a candle to Sopranos.
I don't. That's
Yeah,
good show.
yeah. I mean, the Breaking Bad was the best show after The Sopranos ended, and now after Breaking Bad ended, Severance is the best show I've seen since then.
You ain't never watched The Wire.
Yes, I have.
All right.
The Wire is just below Sopranos, but they were on at the same time.
Okay.
I don't watch anything on Apple TV, but have you delved into Bad Monkey at all? I think it's Vince Vaughn, if I'm not mistaken.
I've vaguely heard of it, but I'm not a Vince Vaughn fan, so I probably wouldn't like it that much.
I think it's. I don't think it's a comedy either. Which
Then I'm
may,
definitely not a Vince Vaughn fan.
may not exactly be his lane, but it had gotten good reviews. I was interested in it, but I don't fuck with Apple. I'm a Droid guy, you know.
I normally don't either, but like I found out they had a streaming service. I thought, what the fuck? I've got every other streaming service, so I might as well get it.
Man.
And I watched Severance, and it's absolutely incredible. It's Ben Stiller's like the main, like he's directing it all and in charge of it all. And he's,
If ever I'm going broke, just cutting all the services.
yeah, I mean, honestly,
Get 'em
there's
out.
there's an insane number of them, but I'm constantly surprised by Ben Stiller is an incredible director. Like he's I was always like, I found him kind of funny sometimes, hit and miss in some things. He's a really, really good director.
Have you tuned in at all to Raw on Netflix yet?
No, I haven't. I haven't watched Raw in a long time.
Interesting.
But I did hear that their Netflix audience is pretty big. So maybe there'll be another wrestling boom because of that.
I will say this. I just watched the first one because like The Rock came back and they did all the hoopla.
A lot of people tuned in just because it was Netflix.
They did all the hoopla. I've never seen production like this.
Yeah, they've definitely upped their production.
It's unbelievable. It feels like you are just like sitting ringside. I mean, you can see beads of sweat rolling off people's heads.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's talk a little bit about what you've got coming up in the works. Saw that you are kind of launching a new coaching project. You want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah. So it kind of came from just getting to a point at the end of last year where I felt like I'd always been missing a lot of opportunities to actually like actively promote the coaching that I do instead of just kind of like working with ourselves and with GTO Wizard and people like that and just having people come to me kind of almost randomly. So I've started up, what I'm calling this new sort of brand for my coaching, which is Poker Fluency. And it's essentially just a way of actually branding and that's not the right account. It's kind of a way to.
Well, it looks like you got a competitor already.
It looks like I do. Yeah. Okay. I don't know what that is, but anyway, the idea of it is to be able to more actively just kind of promote what I do, but also to kind of provide a bit of a way for people to actually kind of understand what the coaching process is going to look like before they go into it. Because one of the biggest things I get from people is they just feel like they don't necessarily have a lot of clarity about what hiring a coach actually looks like. So I want to put more content out there that really gives people a chance to get to know what coaching is going to look like before they do it, but also just kind of take advantage of one of the things that I've never really done that much in my own career, which is just actively promote myself, because it's something that I've never like had that kind of whatever part of personality someone has that's really makes them really confident with promoting themselves, but I've decided to try to kind of get over that hump a little bit.
I'm not sure that even exists, to be honest.
Maybe not. I don't know. But what for whatever reason, it was like I was always just very reticent to kind of put myself out there and say, hey, here's my stuff. Here's why you should hire me, but I'm kind of trying to get over that hump now. So I'm putting this stuff out there. I'm also going to be doing, a whole bunch of stuff that is not only designed to promote what I'm doing, but also just designed to add a bit of value for people. So I'm opening up a Substack that I'm going to be posting on every Friday. I'm going to be doing some YouTube streams. So I'm going to basically be kind of just getting on stream for an hour at the beginning of every weekday. So like 9 a.m. Pacific every weekday. I'm going to be just getting on stream on YouTube and either doing a bit of study work with GTO Wizard, using the trainer, just running reps for myself, or if there's anything specific that's that I've been studying, maybe just giving myself a chance to be held a bit more accountable for actually studying stuff for my own game. But essentially, just kind of starting up a few different avenues that I can put content out there and get people a bit more familiar with what coaching looks like, because I do still think there's an incredible amount of value in one-to-one coaching, even in the age now where you can train so easily with GTO trainers and solvers and all sorts of things like that. But I think it's harder and harder for people to see that when when the majority of tools that are out there are, there's a lot of free stuff on YouTube. There's a lot of, solver stuff that you can get into. But there's kind of a ceiling that you reach with that, so I wanted people to be a bit more familiar with what coaching looks like and how that can be a good avenue for them. And obviously it's a good platform for me to potentially be able to grow as well and try to avoid having the machines take my job as well as everybody else's,
What
the machines.
What's like the process for a new student look like? So say somebody comes to you and they have some sort of interest. Like, walk us through that sign-up process and how you would handhold them through the coaching.
Yeah, I mean, for the majority of cases, if it's actually kind of rare that someone comes to me without having a prior familiarity with some of the content that I put out, which is probably pretty logical. But what that kind of means is that they almost always have something that I can kind of hook into and ask them about in terms of what the specific reason is for them wanting coaching and what they want to work on, right? So my priority is always to get to know the student and what their goals are first and foremost. And some of the students that do come to me are people that I already know because they've been to the academy or something like that, right? So that makes it obviously very easy. But for someone that was just coming in completely fresh, it would always be a case of just setting up a Zoom call with them and making sure that I can get a clear sense of the kind of, not only the kind of point that they're at in terms of the development of their game, but what their priorities are and how much time they're going to be able to dedicate to learning and studying and things like that. Because you've got everybody on the spectrum of people who get coaching, all the way from your recreational players who maybe play only a couple of times a month, but who are looking to get better and maybe lose less or become a winning player during the process of that, how their game evolves over the long term. And then you've got people who are like, they really want to eventually turn professional and they're looking to do things more intensively, maybe over a shorter period, and just kind of talking to them and establishing, where on that spectrum people are at is really important. And then when it comes to actually fleshing out the content that we're going to go through, it obviously requires knowing how many sessions a person's going to want to get. But within that, if you're looking at fewer sessions, if you're looking at just kind of a shorter term thing, then quite often it'll be a case of just identifying some specific like macro level stuff that we can work on that is going to give you the opportunity to boost certain areas, but primarily through the work that you're going to do away from the table. And then you've also got, sorry, my phone is ringing for some reason. And then you've also got the other side of the coin, which is like if you're doing a longer term kind of a coaching arrangement, then you get much more opportunity to work on a micro level. You can start to look at specific types of spots. You can start to really dig into individual range construction exercises and things like that that allow you to really build someone's game a bit more from the ground up and a bit more in that kind of micro way. So there's various different things you can do, but really what it comes down to is the coaching process is designed to impart knowledge. It's designed to give somebody the platform that can make their own study more effective and can build their skill set out in a way that that they're driving when they're studying outside of sessions. I always tell people that there's no amount of coaching that you can get that on its own is going to be enough to get you to where you want to go if you don't put in a lot of energy to actually training certain situations and building out your skill sets away from coaching sessions. So I just try to be the support for that process, and it's hopefully going to be something that I can keep growing things, keep growing what I'm doing, and get in touch with a lot more people this year and put some more coaching deals together.
And how do you handle like onboarding new students? Do you try to position them into hourly packages? Is it like just a one-off hour? Do you give them a consult
very
out of the
rarely
gate?
do one-off hours. Like it's really rare that someone will just want 1 hour of coaching, but also that I'll be able to say to them, yeah, I'm comfortable that I can actually deliver value for you in 1 hour. I think a lot of the time it's just not enough time to do anything other than just answer a few very specific questions about individual areas if that was what they wanted. I think generally, as a coach, it's easier to work with someone for the long term because then you just get a better picture of their overall game. So I always tell people like the more sessions you're willing to commit to and to to kind of tell me ahead of time, like this is the amount of sessions that I'm going to want to do, the easier it is for me to plan content in a way that fits that number of sessions. But if someone comes in and says, well, I want to do 3 to start, or I want to do 6 to start, and then we'll kind of see where we're at from there, then we can plan things accordingly in that way as well. So there's a lot of flexibility there, but it really just it comes down to every individual having different needs. And I always think people come into coaching with they seem to think that there is a standardized set of like, okay, if you buy 6 sessions, you're going to get these exact 6 sessions, and then I just do those over and over again.
Where it's just like, okay, well, if I buy 6 sessions, then you're going to get me all the way from pre-flop to river.
Yeah, like that people think that each coach has like a standardized set of lessons that they do with every student. And I think this is part of why I'm setting something up that can kind of explain that is not at all how it works with a good coach. You know, a good coach is going to talk to you and say, okay, well, what are you struggling with? What are you finding most difficult? What are you already good at? You know, what are the areas that are going to be the most productive to look at? And ultimately, they're going to tailor everything as best as they can to the specific requirements of you and the games that you're playing in and the skills that you need to build. If you do go to a coach and they say, these are the lesson plans that I use, and we're not going to deviate from these, then you would really have to be confident ahead of time that that specific coach was the exact right coach for your games. Because if they're not going to have any kind of flexibility and any ability to deviate from a certain kind of a pattern, there's a good chance that a lot of that content that you might end up working on is just not what you actually need. Now, there is a possibility for coaches to do a more structured sort of course type approach, and I'm going to most likely be doing that at some point this year. I'm going to start to release some tailored kind of packages that are designed about, okay, well, if you want to work specifically on multi-way, here's a course on multi-way that's a structured thing that we can do together. But there's really just a lot of need for flexibility as a coach, I think, because of just how different people's backgrounds are in poker and how many different types of requirements somebody can have. And you just can't really ever say before you go into a coaching arrangement with somebody and knowing nothing about them, this is what we're going to work on.
I think the rigidity comes from the majority of coaches onboarding new players that all have the same leaks. So like whenever I've had this happen a lot where I've actually spent more time turning people away than accepting them, saying like, it's not worth what you're going to pay me when you could pay somebody who's beating 1-2 or 2-5 the exact same amount, or sorry, a far lesser amount, and get the same sort of fundamental. So basically what I'm getting at is there's a certain student, a certain archetype that just lacks fundamentals, period. And any coach who's capable of teaching can have a 5 or 6 set lesson plan that just onboards the fundamentals.
Yeah.
Right?
You know what's really interesting is I get very, very few of those people coming to me.
That makes sense, because like the people I push to you, at least from my vantage point, when people are like, I'm looking for X, I'm like, Hunt's your guy.
Sure.
You know?
But I think what's interesting is that I think the people who gravitate to me as a coach seem to be people who they're already at a point where they have enough of the fundamentals to start investigating for themselves, like what areas do I need to improve on, but they just don't know what the pathway is that's best for them individually.
So that not knowing part, I think, is really critical for what matches a good coach to a good student. And I wonder, this was going to be my follow-up, do you think it's worth having a menu of options to players so that they can start to at least have some autonomy in figuring that out? You know, having a leak finder, which is maybe a database review, having a theoretical sort of path where you're just giving them the broad strokes.
Yeah, I mean,
that's
something that I used to do a kind of version of that a long time ago, where I had like a package that I called like the leak finder package, but that was primarily when I was working with people who played a lot online and had databases to work with. I think these days, just because of the prevalence of sites that don't allow hand histories, it's just much less common for someone to come to me with a database of online hands that can actually be looked at. So I tend to just keep it a bit more fluid these days, but I certainly have plans to start to kind of narrow things down into, like I say, these structured courses for one thing, but also just a bit more of a, like you say, kind of a pathway orientated approach. But I think it's in the early stages of kind of trying to grow this out a little bit and to branch out and get in contact with students who aren't necessarily coming to me directly through Solve for Why or through GTO Wizard. I think that I'm still kind of feeling out what types of people are actually going to be getting in touch and what types of people I'm going to be working with most commonly. You know, so I'm still in the process of like, that's something I certainly have in mind, but I haven't really fleshed it out yet into some distinct categories that I can say, well, you're either in this group or this group. Or this group,
Yeah.
You know?
I think the biggest thing is people just desperately seek structure.
Yeah.
So any level of structure you can offer them is massive. Are you going to be restricted to specific disciplines?
No.
Or are you going to do general theory, cash, MTTs?
Yeah, it's funny. I for a while I've been saying to myself, like, I mostly want to coach tournament players, and that's still true. But I think that as time goes by, even though I don't really play any cash these days, I feel like there's still a lot of things that an overall theory-based approach can add for someone who plays cash. And I think that even though I don't feel like I have a ton of familiarity with the overall player pool as a whole, the thing is, it doesn't really change a lot, right? So when players are coming to me saying, like, I play in a lot of these games with a lot of multi-way pots, that is the cash game. Low stakes cash has always been that way, right? And I've studied multi-way enough to know that whether someone plays cash or tournaments, I know I can add a lot of value to them when it comes to studying multi-way pots. So I think the only domain that I feel I'm not that well prepared to coach someone in is someone who primarily plays online cash, because I think online cash these days is just so dominated by people who have large amounts of data and databases to work with, that if you want to hire a coach to play online cash specifically, you're better off hiring someone who's a real specialist in that area and who understands how to work with data. But as far as any kind of live discipline goes, and as far as particularly any kind of tournament discipline goes, I'm certainly open to working with people from pretty much any sort of a background, because I think that there's a lot that a good coach can add, even if it's not someone that plays in necessarily the same games.
Yeah, oftentimes I think it's beneficial to have a coach or a peer that doesn't have familiarity with your pool, because it strips away a lot of the
biases.
Yeah, the notions that, like, you have such a deeper, a lot of coaches will take shortcuts because they know the pool. So oftentimes they'll skip over a certain mechanic that's really necessary to the fundamental understanding of theory, and basically say, like, oh, well, you don't need to worry about that because nobody's doing this in your game.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, but you do need to worry about that because that hole exists in the pool. It's a thread to pull at. You don't want it to be a hole that exists for you as well, because you're taking a shortcut.
Right.
Not having to worry about, like, river check raises.
Yeah. And I think there's a lot of particularly a lot of the coaching content that's out there that's available for free, like a lot of YouTube stuff and just stuff that gets put out there that is not behind a paywall. A lot of it is, partially because of the way the algorithm works. It's very focused on attracting people by saying, like, just do this and you're going to win more, without necessarily explaining why exactly that works.
Brother, you're dipping your toes into the headache of 8 years, the bane of my existence.
Right.
The marketing aspect of coaching is miserable. The actually trying to onboard and help a large group of people is very hard. Like, one thing I've learned over my 8 years, if nothing else, this is the thing that really stuck with me, is that you either scale and are not happy with the product that you put out, or you work intimately with a small group and you have tremendous impact on a small amount of people. And I don't really know that there is, with the exception of GTO Wizard, I would say that they're a product, right? They're not an interpreter. They're not the ones who have to actually pull thoughts and theories out of the data. They just give you a product and they say, you go nuts with it.
And it's still even on their part to kind of bridge the gap of being, like, widely adopted, but also trusted by people who are at the very elite end of the game. It still requires an incredible amount of effort on their part. They're a very well-run company that puts a lot of time and energy into the people that put together their content, the people that they hire as coaches, and all these sorts of things. Like, I can see firsthand every day, like, the sheer amount of people that I communicate with when I make content for them, like the graphic designers that they have, the video editors, Tom Boss, who's in charge of all their content. Like, there's a whole army of people that they use to put together their content that helps them be accessible, and honestly, the majority of other sites just don't have that infrastructure, which is partly why it's so difficult for anyone to actually bridge that gap. And I think Wizard is doing it fairly well still, but even then, like, there's challenges. There's still plenty of people out there who, as soon as they hear the letters GTO, they're just going to switch off, right? And then conversely, there's plenty of people who, as soon as they hear you say anything that might imply that GTO isn't the be all and end all, they're going to switch off.
Right.
So we've just got this polarized community, and it is really difficult to reconcile that. But that's one of the challenges I want to be able to tackle.
It's really hard to find that middle ground. And but the thing is that those are the people that you speak to.
Sure.
That just becomes your audience. You don't worry about the people that you turn off on either end of the spectrum. It's tricky. I'm rooting for you. Obviously, we'll support you as much as we humanly can.
Thank you.
In the meantime, I might come to you for a little Squid Game coaching.
Oh wow!
You're
You're the one who should be coaching the Squid Game, not me. I'm just a simple little tournament player out here. You know.
I'm not gonna lie. I'm not one to toot my own horn too much. I'm fucking good at games where you don't have to fold.
Yeah.
That's kind of
sounds
my
like your
thing.
forte. Yeah.
That is kind of my thing, you know.
Finally, Bert.
Find a little wheelhouse
Finally.
here where it's like, hey, let's play all the hands.
That's why you hate tournaments. You gotta,
Well, kind of.
You gotta kind of just fold.
You know,
a lot.
the great
least that's how I play
professional,
them.
well, you play them wrong. The great professional pickleballer Dan Smith once told me,
Yes.
the only way to lose a tournament is to fold.
Yeah.
And that's keen
No wonder I
advice.
haven't won one in a while.
Now, granted, it's coming from a man who plays pickleball for a living and not necessarily poker. But hey, he got some chops on the felt.
I thought he was a snowboard guy nowadays.
Ski, but no, it's pickleball.
He wears many hats.
Right, he does wear many. He's
Tennis,
a man of
he's
many
in there.
talents.
I see the stories with him.
A man of many. Well, tennis is just what he does to prepare for his professional pickleball career. Okay, you know, it's not. He's fighting against a lot of things. All right, like, you know, they say you need to be long in pickleball. He says, no, fuck that. You got to be aggressive.
Short pickleball?
You just got to be aggressive. And that man attacks the net.
All right.
You hit a ball over his head that's going out by a million. He doesn't give a shit. He will smash that ball right back at you.
Rightfully so.
Because he's a professional. Okay.
Goddamn right.
Now that advice he gave me, the only way to lose a tournament is to fold. That did
resonated.
something to me. You know,
It spoke deep.
I said, hey, I like where your head's at here, kid. We're gonna bring the limp back.
I like the cut of your jib.
We're gonna bring the limp back. And you know what that transitioned into? Understanding how to play Squid.
Okay.
I got to tell you, MTT players would do well in Squid, or at least in a certain asset or aspect of it, right? Because there's a big all-in element to it. It's unavoidable. There's just going to be jams, rejams, and things of that nature.
And there's also that element of understanding asymmetric upside and downside, right?
Yes,
So
for sure.
that certainly does speak to a lot of the MTT skill sets.
I
as
think
well.
that they would be very good at that aspects of it. Now, would they be great at playing 15 SPR to the river when there's 85 big blind bounty in play? I'm not so sure.
Look, all I'm hearing,
honestly, whenever we do stand up for Poker Out Loud, that's what fucks me. Like what fucks me is like trying to figure out how I'm supposed to play a high SPR spot when there's squids on the line, and
Right.
not just like, oh, I can just be all in because I have to win the squid. You know?
Exactly.
what you're
So,
telling me is
like,
if we
that's
played
fucks
Squid
me.
on Poker Out Loud, my King 10 is completely fine.
I'd like to, well, I don't think so because no, but I think in a world your King 10 is fine.
Sure.
I don't think in the format we were playing it was okay because the penalty was so small.
Yeah. So here's a weird
Yeah,
question.
but like, fuck you.
Right, yeah, fuck me. Now that I can agree with.
This is probably just a noob question here, but like, what's the actual specific difference between the stand-up game format that we played and the Squid Game format
It's a
that
great
WPT
question.
plays?
A fantastic question.
Let me
so,
tell you.
In linear order of least variance to most variance, the traditional stand-up is the least variance that you can have with these carnival games. It's a simple 3 big blind penalty per person. So if you're playing 8-handed, for instance, it's 21 big blinds, right? And that's fixed. It's going to be one person pays 21 big blinds, period. Off of that comes the progressive squid. Now, this is one where it cuts both ways. So in traditional stand-up, you're just trying to fade the penalty. You don't really earn much making
Just wanna
the 3
sit.
big blinds, right? Like you don't get that 3 big blinds isn't worth that much, but losing 21 is worth a lot. In progressive squid, now you have the opportunity to get paid multiples on every pot that you win. And what ends up happening is if you win more pots, you're now getting paid that 3 big blinds for each pot that you've won. That now becomes a lot more variance because now the person, it's still going to be one loser, but that one loser now isn't on the hook for 21 big blinds. They could be on the hook for, there's no cap to it, right? Like if they let somebody win 10 pots and everybody else wins 1, now all of a sudden they're on the hook for 16 times 3,
Right.
whatever that may be. So there's a big multiplier aspect to it. The bloodiest version is Progressive Squid, which is what we've been playing at WPT. And that one is there could be multiple losers that are also paying a multiplier on the payout scale. So this is a fixed number of hands. So this one ends after +2 of the amount of people at the table. So if you're playing 8-handed, you play 10 hands. After 10 hands, anybody that doesn't sit owes everybody with squids, and people who have more than one squid get paid out based off of this multiplier table.
So the idea is you win a hand and you get a squid. Is it like a physical
Correct.
thing?
You get like a token.
Yeah, I thought I'd seen that before, that they have little squid shaped things.
And the squid, what you played yesterday, was worth $100.
Yeah.
Which means if you won all the squids, you would have got $5K.
Correct.
So how did
and I would have got $5K from everybody.
Which would equal, because you played 6-handed?
7-handed.
So you would have got $30K.
Yes.
So how did it actually come to be known as Squid Game? Because this doesn't have anything in common with Squid Game.
I think the death aspect.
But you don't. Yeah, it's not like you lose a hand, they shoot you in the head.
No, but that's what it feels like when you have to pay off 21
I suppose
big
that's
blinds.
true. Yeah, that's probably true. Yeah.
Like, have you ever seen somebody scoop all 8 squids and get paid 50 big blinds from 6 people?
Well, they've got the whole squid. They've got like a whole squid design on the set and everything.
Run that back again. The set is unbelievable.
That's crazy.
This is truly the most innovative thing I've seen on a poker stream ever. Like, it's not going to get enough credit, but it is unbelievable. The floor itself is a giant fucking squid. It's remarkable. The background, if you press play, just like pause it on this background. So this background, it's an LED that's dropped behind like that purplish frame.
Wow.
So when you walk in, there's actually like great depth there on that backdrop. This is no Bally's live stream, I understand. Bally live stream, you know, like they didn't quite hit that standard, but man, they're right there with it.
They got to go the whole way and have you come out wearing like the green tracksuits, like all the Squid Game guys.
I guess yesterday, sorry, I'll let you jump in a minute. Yeah. I guess yesterday Blesnick came and he had a full diver mask on with a snorkel.
Okay.
Blesnick or the banker?
The backer.
The backer, sorry.
Yes, the backer. What were you going to say? Go
it looks like the GG pool thing stream that they have for the main.
Oh,
like the Blue Lagoon is what they called it or whatever.
Another really fantastic set that didn't get enough credit. You're right. The main event in the Bahamas, the super main event or whatever, that set was fucking beautiful. Mm-hmm. Yeah, what they're able to do with LEDs now are just really remarkable. But
it doesn't compare to the black screen though.
Well, yeah, I mean the smashing Bally's all around the entire set on the race car wall. It was a choice. It was a choice.
I mean, when someone did go all in and they had the timer going and then the thing turned red, you know, that was kind of like epic gamer.
It was
moment.
a good idea. The problem, not I didn't mean to turn this into shitting on Bally, but that was a cool idea. They had the right idea, right? They were using all these LED screens and doing cool stuff with it, with the animation and stuff like that. The problem was, unlike that Poker Go set, they weren't able to create any depth. So it was just like on you. You know what I mean? And it's like you get any sort of tight camera shot and you're seeing like a corner of a clock. It's like, oh, well, what the fuck is the point? But yeah, I got to play yesterday. Game played, in my opinion, too small. So if you go back to that multiplier payout table, the version we were playing was +2, which means that you can have multiple losers. The issue is that, like, so we were playing 7-handed, which means we were playing 6-handed. Landon was correct. We were only playing 8 hands before the squid ends.
So you could get at most 40 times 100, which is 4K from 5 people, which is 20K.
Correct, but that's never going to happen. I mean, like, the likelihood of that happening has to be sub 1%. The more probable thing to happening, I think, is like 4 squids.
So if you get 4 squids, let's just do this for the people. You get 4 squids, that's 16x. So you get $1,600 from all of the people that are sitting.
Right, but it could be as few as 1 and as many as 2. Or sorry, as many as 3. There could be 2 of you that got 4 squids.
So if you're playing 6-handed, you play 8 hands of squid.
Correct.
Which means you win half of the bounties.
Correct.
Which means if you win half,
the other half has to be distributed. So it could either be
one
other person gets 4 and now 3 people are paying, or sorry, 4 people are paying, or it's distributed. Basically, it's onward down.
Right.
So at most, you could win 3,200, or sorry, 1,600 times
most, 4. You can win
6,400.
6,400.
Right.
If you and somebody else both get 4.
Correct. Again, extremely improbable. And so
It's almost like you two are working together at that point.
yeah, that stuff happens too. But the bigger point I'm trying to make is that if you're just playing a traditional stand-up, 6-handed or 7-handed like this, you're looking at an $1,800 payoff, right?
Like, in a sense, there's situations where if somebody that has a lot of squids is in a pot and you're in a pot, you two kind of want to collude a little bit versus the person that doesn't have a squid.
There were a lot of spots yesterday where I didn't 3-bet because Rampage to my left also had 3 squids and the other 2 people in the pot had 0.
Right.
And we want to keep them standing.
Yeah.
So like I just have a hand where it's like I'm really incentivized to win this pot, but I'm only incentivized to win this pot so that they don't. And
if Ethan
I'm very
wins,
happy
that's
with
fine.
Ethan winning it too, because now I get paid out by 3 spots instead of 2.
That's kind of see. Look, this is part of the Squid Game aspect, Hunt, where you have teams.
Oh yeah.
Sometimes teams develop
Forced teams.
Yeah.
Okay.
To be fair, I don't think any of these other guys think this way. Like this is becoming abundantly clear to me that not very much thought goes into the game itself based off of the gameplay yesterday. I watched at least 4 or 5 times when we got down to the final 2 squids, 3 people standing, not VPIP. Just didn't put any money in the pot. Like, oh, I'll win the next one. You know, I'm in the cutoff here and it folded to me. I'm just going to wait to be in the hijack next hand and I'll try to win that one. Good luck. Godspeed. It folded around to the small blind who was standing with 2 other people who were standing. How could that ever happen?
Yeah.
You know, it's insane. So a lot of crazy stuff going on. I expect today's going to be a little bit bigger and tomorrow's going to be massive.
You're playing today?
Today and tomorrow.
You're playing both days.
I'm so sad.
Tomorrow's going to be 3-6 with RoboWin crew.
Wow.
So
okay.
this
Whole different experience.
This will be televised at a later date.
Correct.
Okay. So
it'll be on PokerGo, I believe.
Right.
And it might make its way to WPT's YouTube channel at some point. I'm not sure.
Wasn't PokerGo with GG for a while?
Yeah.
Is that still a thing?
Nope.
Wow. What?
GG bought WSOP.
Yeah.
Which means
from PokerGo.
Which means GG is now with Bally.
Well, GG sponsors Bally, but no, GG has their own in-house production. And they also work in partner with Sharehand.
It's so
because
confusing.
it's like let's think about it this way, right? Because for WSOP, which is coming up and staying in Vegas, where is all that content going to be?
It'll be on GG's YouTube channel.
For free.
I would assume.
And no PokerGo.
No. Wow.
This is what I'm saying.
Well, they could hire PokerGo. I don't think that they will.
Right.
But they could. I don't know enough of the inner workings of the business.
If they hired PokerGo, would it go on PokerGo's?
That's what I'm see.
No.
They would hire PokerGo to produce it.
If they
hired, go on GG's.
If they hire PokerGo, then it would probably go on PokerGo.
Both?
But that's a big reason why I don't think they'll hire PokerGo.
Right.
They did the WSOP Europe. So here's a perfect example, and I think this was a test run. They did WSOP Europe. They had their own in-house production. Didn't hire anybody outsourced. They brought in the usual commentators, like I did comms with Ali Najad, and they streamed the whole thing on, I believe, GG's page as well as WSOP's YouTube page. And it was all free.
Okay.
And I expect that will be what happens this summer.
If they're going to call this game Squid Game, they got to get on Netflix.
I agree.
Poker on Netflix.
I agree.
That.
Yes.
And you know what they can use? Wii characters for the fucking stream.
Hell yeah, brother.
Hell yeah, brother.
Now I'm imagining Squid Game with Wii characters.
Exactly.
Now
A bunch of
we can
Nintendo Wii characters running around getting shot in the head.
This is genius. We can then bring it to Disney Plus. Look,
I'm
just got Winnie the Pooh playing red light, green light, taking one right between the eyes.
That's good. That's actually something.
All I'm hearing is that we're bringing back the Wii from 2006.
So which Disney character would win Squid Game?
That's a great game to play.
That's a fantastic
Goofy,
question.
right? My money's on Goofy.
Fuck Goofy. He's not making it out of the first round.
Wait a minute, hold on. We have to
me?
clarify rules. So they have to be any
He's
Disney
so-
character?
I guess.
Yeah.
I mean, you just pick one that can't die, like the genie from Aladdin.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Okay. Yeah. That. All right. There's got to be some.
They have to be
some
living.
restrictions.
Human
Human
blood.
only
They
Disney
need
characters.
blood.
gotta be some
Human
reason.
or animal, because
Right.
Goofy's an animal. So
Yeah.
That guy. He's winning Squid Game.
Are we talking traditional Disney characters? Or are we talking like the full scope. Of
That's fair.
character.
That's a fair point. I think you
that's
guys.
why I went
You're gonna pick
goofy.
Steamboat Willie or something.
Well, yeah,
Like-
well, I mean, I'm not gonna go back that far.
But like if you're gonna pick like the Mandalorian, right?
Well,
Like
I
you have
thi-
like Star Wars.
yeah.
No, I
Okay.
think Brian's point is valid. We got to start with like the traditional cartoon characters,
Right, that's why
and
I
then
said
maybe
goofy,
branch
like-
out.
That's
Yeah,
true because all the Marvel characters are
right.
Disney as well.
Right,
So,
yeah,
like,
yeah.
Was the Hulk
Thor,
gonna be in?
yeah.
We end up down some rabbit hole
Right.
where it's just like
Yeah.
I picked Scrooge McDuck and I'm sticking with it.
Well, maybe to avoid the rabbit hole, which poker player
Give
would
me
win
Snow
in
White.
Squid Game?
Right.
Which poker player would you bet
That's a
on?
great
in Squid
question.
Game?
So we got to get out of here, but I'm gonna tell a quick story that was a highlight of yesterday's stream. There's this kid playing. He goes by Lightning, but his actual name is Alex Smith, and I guess he claims he's not a Yinzer. He's wearing Penn State gear, and I think he's claiming that he's from somewhere in Central PA. This motherfucker has a thicker accent than me and Lamanna put together.
I mean,
he is Yinzer through and through. If he's not from Pittsburgh, his parents fucking
The
certainly are.
extends out.
Yeah,
Maybe not all the way to Central PA, but
I mean,
definitely Indiana.
right, exactly. Okay, so I sit down, I hear him talk for 3 seconds, I go, "You're one of me." And then the best thing, you're gonna love this if you ever actually see it. Somebody said, we play on this massive table, right? And there's this female dealer in there. She's very short, and we're putting our bets out, and she's having a hard time collecting them. So Justin goes, "Big table, guys, little arms, have her pull them in." And my mind immediately went to that scene of the Tyrannosaurus Rex chasing the kid, where he runs into the wall and he goes, "Big head, little arms." And so I say that, right?
Right.
I mentioned this scene. Well, you go ahead and play it. So good.
What's going on? Why aren't you seizing the boy?
Okay, so
Oh man, what a movie! Meet the Robinsons.
right. So for whatever reason, I've never seen this movie.
What was the movie?
Meet the Robinsons.
You've never
Okay.
seen Meet the
I've
Robinsons?
never seen it.
Oh my god!
But I've seen the
I've seen that clip
I've seen that
1,000
clip
times,
a
yeah.
million times.
I've never seen
Okay,
Meet the Robinsons.
and for whatever reason, I knew it was Meet the Robinsons. And so this kid Lightning goes, "Oh yeah, the dinosaur from Toy Story." I go, "No." And he goes, "What do you mean?" I go, "It's Meet the Robinsons." He goes, "No, it's not Meet the Robinsons." And the whole table is kind of
Sounds
just
like a
like,
good bet.
definitely
Yeah.
not Meet the Robinsons. And I go, "I'll bet." And he goes, "How much do you want to bet?" And I have 100K in front of me. I go, "All of it." Like this is
You can't do
You
that.
can't-
You
yeah,
gotta
then
go
you're
for
too
like
sure.
5K,
I said
man.
this after the fact. I'm not a hustler. I'm not that guy. I
Right.
want to be right more than I want to make money and embarrass somebody over it.
But if
yeah,
you want
it
to
makes
challenge
sense.
me, then you'll take all their
Right.
money.
And
You're
also
100% sure.
Right.
Right. So you just feel like you're just stealing money from somebody.
And also, my 100% is never 100%.
Of course, can't be.
So, like, Justin goes, "Yeah, whenever he wanted to pile in like that, you should have been a little more hesitant." I go, "Actually, Justin, no, he shouldn't have." That's a tactic that I use to back people off of being
But do you
right.
remember, this is very
fucking penny
similar.
jar.
This is very similar to when we were arguing about state capitals.
Yes.
And we said Kansas City, and I don't remember. It was that versus like Aurora and Denver.
Yeah, whatever
in
it was,
Colorado.
I had you convinced that you weren't right, and you backed off of the bet.
I
and
had
then
you
went-
convinced you weren't right.
It went both ways. You backed off the bet.
I got you first, and you got me back, and
Correct.
Conrad
if
was
you
there.
are sure, you can make a lot of money off a Berkey.
Yeah, no, 100%. It-
I just have to actually be right.
Like if he knew that was Toy Story and I was dead
Yeah,
wrong, he was
yeah.
gonna make a mint. So we ultimately settled on 1,000.
I remember
$1,000
what it was.
bucks.
We ultimately settled on $1,000, and I immediately look it up because I know it's Meet the Robinsons. So I just Google "big head, little arms, Meet the Robinsons."
Right.
Clip comes up. I show him. This is where you're really gonna love it because I had the most. I had the biggest epiphany when it happens. I show it to him, and he goes, That's one option. Hold on, let me look. And he's like trying to find another
counter.
like the exact same scene that also somehow exists in Toy Story. And like basically trying to be like, well, we can both be right in this scenario.
Right, like-
and I look at him and I go, oh my God, you're me.
I almost killed myself on the freeway doing the same thing. I remember we were talking about some city in Florida, and I was convinced that there had to have been another city below whatever city we were talking about.
Yeah.
I'm driving home on the 215, like trying to like prove that you're wrong, and I can't find the fucking city. Nearly died twice.
It was when we were talking about what was the capital of Kansas, and it was Topeka, but we said Kansas City because we didn't know Kansas City, Missouri, or Kansas City in Kansas.
Yeah.
And then
Irrelevant.
You got me there because I thought, no, I said it's definitely Kansas City. And you're like, no, it's not. And then you said, what's the capital of Denver or Colorado? And I said, it's Denver. You go, no, it's Aurora. Bet me anything. And I was like, fuck, you might be right. And it's
Denver.
It's Denver.
Yeah.
Conrad's in the back seat. Like, what is wrong with you two?
It's never the biggest city.
Right, of course.
Right? So then you start second guessing
Yeah,
yourself.
Aurora felt right.
Like, it's
man.
right. Like, no, it's
Aurora
not. You're
felt
like,
right.
bet me the exact same amount of money you want to bet me on this one.
They just changed it, actually.
Yeah.
It's great.
Yeah.
But he really, really went down the path. Like, and I saw the whole thing. It was like, honestly, like I said you're me because I know that I'm guilty of doing this
all the time.
But he was way more my sister. Like, because my sister has never ever been right about anything, but also in her mind has never been wrong about anything.
So he paid you though.
Bad combo.
Yeah, he paid me. That was the best
brother.
part is that we had to we actually bet, because without the bet it just fades. You know. So he's sitting there Googling.
He's malding.
You guys are filming, right?
We're filming the whole thing.
So this is gonna make the air.
It's gonna be.
I can't wait.
He's Googling and he goes, all right, well, I found yours. Now let me go ahead and find mine.
Take your time, buddy. Take your time.
So, and I'm just like watching it all happen, and he's like talking it all away, like, well, maybe, but this and that kind of thing. And then finally came time where he had to pay, and he goes, I think you might be right. And it's like, that's
the capitulation. Is
right.
awesome.
It seems I made a miscalculation.
Like, that's what's never happened with my sister. She's just walked out of the room at this point and then comes back an hour later and is just like, so about those Steelers, what do you think they're going to do with Russ and Fields, Yeah. It's like, no, I want my W here, goddammit.
I'm going to eat this W real quick.
It's funny how your mind can play tricks on you, right? Because he probably saw both movies.
Oh, he went down a whole rabbit hole. This is a Bernstein's Bear type of thing.
Right. No, it is. It definitely has to be, because your mind will just play tricks on you, and you just think that it's it's Toy Story, so that's burned into your
because there's
brain.
a dinosaur in Toy Story.
Just in your mind, that's the reality that exists.
I've had that before with actors, where you're convinced that a certain actor was in a specific movie,
right?
And then you look it up, and it's like
it's
that
somebody
person
else,
was never
but they're
in that
very
movie.
similar actors.
The annoying part to
like
him,
like Shaquille O'Neal and what's the comedian's name for the Genie movie?
Sinbad.
Sinbad. I actually don't even know which one's right.
Because Sinbad is the voice of Aladdin.
No,
the genie in Aladdin.
No. No,
isn't he? Oh no, maybe he's not.
No, he's not.
See, I don't even know.
Robin Williams was the voice.
Oh, they both played genies.
They didn't.
Movies.
That's the Mandela effect.
Okay, now bet him.
I'm not sure which one it was.
It was Shaq.
I think it was Sinbad. I'm pretty sure it was Sinbad. I've looked at this a bunch of times because I remember it being Shaq also, but it's not Shaq. It was Sinbad.
Wait, you're saying Shaq didn't play? Didn't he play a role where he was? It was called. What was the name of the movie he made? It was called Shaq something.
Shazam. It's not.
They both do.
No,
both of them.
No. That's the Mandela
It says
effect.
one of these never happened.
Right.
The Sinbad Genie movie that never existed.
Okay, so it was Shaq, not Sinbad.
Yes.
Anyway, I don't remember.
So this is an actual thing, not just you. This is
correct. I don't remember which one it was. I truly don't.
Yeah.
You could tell me, because I remember that scene with Sinbad, and I thought that was Shazam, but maybe that's a different movie. In any event,
Shaq Fu.
In any event, there's an entire culture out there that has no idea who the lead in Shazam was between Kazam, whatever. Between Shaq and Sinbad.
Well, no, Sinbad was in Shazam and Shaq was in Kazam.
No, stop. Don't fucking do this.
Yeah, I know we're about to get
to
out of here, but I just saw one of the most disturbing things about Shaq ever. I mean, he's a big troll and everything, right?
Right.
So, whatever, Ty Lue told this story where they're in the locker room or not, and he told Devin George to do a prank on Ty Lue. Devin George didn't do it. Shaq said, all right. Next day, Devin George is in the shower or something. Shaq goes and takes his shoe, goes into a bathroom stall, and takes a shit in it. Takes something.
Had to be like an elephant shit, too.
Takes something, pushes it down into the shoe.
Oh.
And then he comes and puts his fucking foot in it. How much of a troll can you be?
No, you have to be 7'2" to pull that one off.
Right.
The little dude on the team is not pulling that gag off because he's gonna die.
Yeah, how many more of these stories are there that we don't know?
Imagine what him and Barkley do on the set of.
That was my next story.
Incredible. All right, this has honestly been one of the most fun shows we've done in a long time, but I have to get out of here. I'm running late. So, Hunt, thank you as always for joining us.
Happy to be here.
Best of luck on your new coaching
you.
ventures. Fluent Poker?
Poker Fluency.
Poker Fluency. Sorry, Fluent Poker is the competitor. Don't go to those guys.
That's the handle on all the socials, so find me everywhere.
Are you back on the X?
Not really. I'm unsure about it yet.
Okay.
But I did
businesses.
set up an account for the business,
Right.
but I haven't really posted
Just hire
much.
someone else to run it.
I might do.
Just make sure that whenever they're scouring hand histories, they get the shit right, because I don't want to have to, do an entire episode on folding ace 9
Yeah.
on 10 high board.
Yeah, we'll see.
Okay. All right. That's going to do it for us. I'm on my way to the Ghost Studios to play a little bit of Squid. We'll give you some updates again tomorrow. We got Jeff Platt here in studio to pay me my money.
Let's go.
On the Steelers total win bet. We'll also do Weekend Warriors tomorrow. All right, relax. We'll do Weekend Warrior tomorrow and catch up everything going into the weekend. We'll see you guys all then.
Peace.